Hi, I'm Rhiannon Faith, and I'm here to tell you a story. So, a bit of an update. So, I ended up being able to see a gyne-onc after I had at finding in the hospital with a mass on my left ovary. And so, thankfully, was able to get in with gyne-onc the Thursday after that weekend, and then he said, yeah, this doesn't look ideal. We need to take it out, but I'm not worried that it's cancer. Either way, we need to take it out. So was hoping to get that surgery scheduled kind of quickly. And he said, April 15th. And I almost cried. That there was just no way I was going to be able to tolerate the discomfort and pain that I was experiencing for like over a month. And then thankfully later that day, his surgery scheduler called me and said, actually, we found room, we can get you in on Tuesday. And so that was like, oh, holy moly, how wonderful is that? So then it was a scramble. How do I get everything arranged in time to have surgery in just a couple of days? Because again, I saw him on Thursday. By Thursday afternoon, I was told you can have, we'll be able to do the surgery on Tuesday. Well, then I need cardiac clearance. I need to notify my work. This is a real scramble to get everything in place and ready. And thankfully, I work with an amazing group of people who are all incredibly supportive and like, take care of yourself, whatever you need to do. So that was, really a good spot to be in. And on top of that, not just, take care of yourself, but really like we'll step in and we'll take it from here and cover you in your absence. So like that, I don't think I've ever really been in such a supportive environment for work, to really take whatever time is needed to get better and really be authentically encouraged in that way. And so that was very, very cool to have that dynamic. So then it was the immediate mental run through of all of the things schedule wise that needed to change or be shifted because now I'm having surgery. And so I'm immediately thinking, well, shoot, if I'm having surgery on Tuesday, my son has a baseball game on Wednesday, I don't want to miss the game. Also, he plays baseball, I do game changer for the team. I don't want to miss scoring the game. I don't want to miss being there. So I got to figure this out somehow to be there, to continue to do game changer. But I'm not going to be able to drive yet because depending on what time my surgery is, I'm not going to be recovered enough 24 hours post-op. I'm not even legally allowed to drive. And so that was a little shoot. How am I going to work this out? Trying to figure that out. And then amazingly, my boss says, well, I'll take you. So she ended up coming to my house, picking me up, driving me to my son's baseball game so that I could be there, helping me schlep all of my nonsense, the chairs, the wagon, the whatever, and so that I could sit at the sideline to be there for his games on Wednesday and Thursday that week. So that was just, amazing. And then the surgery itself, it's weird. This was my 18th surgery. I think it was 18. So I feel like it's all old hat, just trying to get different things in order beforehand so that I'm not behind on anything. Have all like the advanced healthcare directive. Is it updated? Is it in order? Is it updated? Is it in order? Are these things on record where they need to be? Does everybody know about them? Having these conversations with family members again, so everybody's prepared about, my wishes, my preferences. And so my kids, unfortunately, have been subjected to these conversations numerous times in the past. Again, 18th surgery. And so reminding them of my preferences, what I want, what I don't want, as far as care is concerned, and then also as to what I need to do if something was to go sort of sideways, like what would that look like? And so try to normalize that conversation with them. I don't think they're always really excited about being subjected to these conversations, but I'm glad we have that sort of open dialogue and it can be normalized. But I wasn't nervous at all surgery day. I did have to fast for a pretty extended period of time. My check-in wasn't until 12:30 p.m. And so they had said, well, technically you need to be NPO, nothing by mouth, for at least 6 hours. I said, look, I can totally manage going from midnight, so there's just no second guessing. And if you guys end up running early, there's no reason that it would be delayed. I could just come in straight away and get in that OR and get this done. Especially since, again, they were squeezing me in. So if somebody canceled or they were not following through with their NPO order, I would be eligible to get in there. So I just went from midnight. So got into surgery, got checked in, everything was fine. It was a little different than normal. Again, I was being snuck in, and so my poor husband did not get called back until they were really like wheeling me away. Everything went pretty quickly, and so that kind of threw him a bit. They were like, okay, well, all right, you can say goodbye, she's going back. And I felt awful because I could tell that's not what we've been accustomed to on prior situations, prior surgeries. It's a little bit more transitional time. And so he barely got to, give me a hug and a kiss, and I hope, praying everything goes well, and then off I went. I had a great surgical team, and I was really excited because I ended up in OR 17. Like, what? It's my favorite number. So that was kind of fun. And the surgery went fine. I guess I bled more than was expected. So they were thinking I would possibly be there overnight. And the surgery ended up being more extensive than was originally planned. So I discussed with my surgeon, giving him full, professional authority to make the decision, medical discretion as to what needed to happen. But at minimum, we were going to do removal of my uterus, cervix, the ovary that was a problem, that was the left, and that fallopian tube. And then the goal was to be able to retain the right ovary so that I would not be in surgically induced menopause. That was the hope, because once they're both gone, you don't have any estrogen production, and menopause is upon you. And so I had already weighed out sort of that worst case scenario. If everything had to go, was only 4 months-ish from being classified in menopause. So I was hopeful that maybe the symptoms or transition, if that was required, wouldn't be terribly treacherous. But as I came out of surgery, I didn't talk to the doctor. He was off to the next thing. My recovery in post-op took a little bit longer because they needed my blood levels to come back up. I didn't know that this was even an issue for me whatsoever, but I guess I recovered fine. My levels were fine, and I ended up leaving a couple hours after surgery, so that was nice. Got home, rested, managed the pain, discomfort, what have you. I'm not really keen on pain meds, as I previously mentioned, so the recommended dose, I took like half of that, and I maintained the frequency for a little bit, the every 4 hours, but only 1 instead of 2. And I stopped that. I stretched it to like 8 hours, 1 pill every 8 hours, and then to 10 hours, then none, and then just went with Tylenol after, I guess, about 2 days. So that was fine. Sleeping was probably the most uncomfortable thing, because like, how do you get in the right position? And when I woke up from my first like post-op nap, once I got home, my husband was like, okay, so do you want me to tell you what happened? Oh, and I had asked for photos, because like, show me what you're taking. I want to see what happened. So the surgical team was really gracious and took photos for me of the inoperative photos, where you could see the mass that was on my left ovary while it was in, as well as the right ovary, and another something that was like, oh, that might be a problem later. So the left ovary apparently was actually the size of a cantaloupe by the time it was removed. So good grief, it's gigantic. And funny enough, like, where was I hiding that? Because it wasn't like I had some massive bulge out the side of my belly. Like, apparently I've got some free space in the abdomen that was just absorbing this. I guess it's good to be tall. I was hiding it, apparently. but no surprise that it was very uncomfortable to have that in there. And so he ended up having to drain it. That wasn't his plan originally, but it wasn't going to come out intact. And so he did have to drain out some of the fluid in order to get it removed. And then he said when he saw the right ovary, it looked abnormal. And so he elected to go ahead and take that as well. And so I'm glad that he did. Again, disappointed a little bit to have to be in surgically induced menopause. That was not on my to-do list. But I would rather anything that looks off or suspicious be removed and call it a day. So everything came out. I have 5 visible scars on my abdomen, which are, super awesome. I'm a little sad that they're not symmetrical because it was robotic, laparoscopic, total hysterectomy. And so they're, the placement and everything and the equipment going in have these little, they're pretty small, like less than probably a half an inch, each of them, 1 at the belly button and then 2 on either side. So, I don't mind scars. They're extra stories, so fine by me. And they're going to be small once they're fully healed and recovered. But for now, they're just there. And then more or less haven't had any complications from the surgical recovery. I feel like that went pretty well. I'm not super great at not doing all the things, so that's been a little bit of an adjustment. I'm still recovering at home, not working. I can tell my body is depleted. I don't have as much energy. And even when I try to push myself a little bit further in that, I definitely feel it. I start getting aches and pains in my abdomen or in my low back, which is no shock now. I've got organs sitting in all kinds of random places that they weren't before. And there's, a vacant space that used to have, first of all, the normal size uterus, and then this gigantic, stupid mass that are both gone now. And so there's been some abdominal shifting that's a little bit uncomfortable as the healing continues. But the least fun has been the onset of the menopausal symptoms that have been kind of aggressive. So agitation and irritability, which is probably in part the discomfort, because again, I was really light on the pain medications, not keen on taking that stuff. And so I'm feeling a lot more. And I noticed I'm clenching my jaw a ton. Actually even had to go and get a massage this last week because my shoulders and neck are just insanely tense. I wake up and I realize oh my gosh, I'm clenching my jaw so hard. So I'm gonna have to start wearing a mouth guard again. Super cute. It's the cutest. But gotta do something because I'm gonna wake up and find a little diamond in the back of my mouth because I've ground it so tightly during the night, creating that friction pressure environment. Just drop a piece of coal, wake up with a diamond. So a whole business strategy sort of thing. But and then the occasional really aggressive hot flash. And I was having occasional hot flashes before. It just feels this sudden deep internal rage heat permeates up through your body. It's not great. And so now I'm getting those, but they are before I would say they were level 5. Now they're level 8, and weird random just shooting pains various places. And so it's been really interesting. And the headaches, I'm not enjoying the headaches at all. So I'm hopeful after my post-op appointment that there will be some communicated strategy or recommendations around hormone replacement therapy. In the meantime, I'm trying all of the holistic options because, again, that certainly is my preference if they are effective. But most importantly, I don't want to long-term exist in a state of generalized chaos. And so help is there to be helpful, and as long as it can be, fantastic. And if it's not, then I'm going to pursue other options. So looking forward to having those discussions and figuring that out. But overall, the recovery is going fine. I was really pleased to receive the pathology report at about it's almost exactly a week post-op, that everything came back fine, no malignancy, so there's no cancer in any of the areas. And he didn't expect that there would be, but of course, until you get that detail back, you know, you just don't count on it going one way or another. And so that was quite a relief. And it was interesting to read the details of the path report, because every single area of my female reproductive organs was uncooperative. Like, there was an issue everywhere. So I'm glad it's all gone. Some of you may have seen, my daughter was quite thrilled, my oldest, about this surgery, and she's doing the happy dance victory lap. One of her greatest concerns, fears, traumas was me ever being pregnant again. And same. Okay, like, you don't have to sell me on this. I never, ever, ever, ever wanted to be pregnant again. My pregnancies were very, very challenging, and each of my kids tried to kill me in like new and creative ways. And so kudos to them, but all of my pregnancies were really hard on my body, and put me through a lot of really like physical challenge, trauma, chaos, and I could not fully and properly function during those times. And so each subsequent one, I had a child also, or more children that I was having to care for while also being pregnant and feeling miserable. So she was very concerned, like, I really never want you to be pregnant again. Same. So I had done my part. I had gotten my tubes tied when I had my son, but still, of course, while you have those organs in you, there's still a chance. And so it's glorious. There's no longer a chance. So she was pretty excited. I was also very excited. Again, could have done without the surgically induced menopause, but it is what it is. But it was interesting reading the path report, and like, apparently I also had fibroids in my uterus. Glorious. And there were problems, concerns in the cervix. Awesome. And there was weird inflammation in the fallopian tubes and a polycystic right ovary. And so, like, really the only thing that was like sort of cooperative, if you could call it that, like, came back as normal, normal as in nothing distinctly problematic, was the left fallopian tube. Whee! So somebody kind of cooperated, but he was going no matter what. Again, it was kind of a validating bit of information to receive that everything was kind of a chaotic disaster, and also it all needed really legitimately to go. So that was encouraging. And so, of course, I'll stay on top of regular exams because, fun fact, if you didn't know, of course, cervical cancer can develop in your vaginal wall. Super. So even though that portion isn't there anymore, it is still important to continue to get regular checkups and all the rest of that to maintain early detection opportunities in case that would ever be an issue. And so I'll stay on top of that, as with all the rest of the generalized health things. And breast exams will be increased in frequency, I believe, if I end up on traditional HRT, hormone replacement therapy, because there are some opportunities for that to go sideways. But again, relieved that everything went well, and my recovery is continuing. I'm trying to find my way out of boredom. Sleeping so much, and like, I recognize my body needs that, but also it's like insanely annoying to me to not be doing something more productive. So I'm hoping, now that I'm coming up on 3 weeks post-op. On Tuesday it'll be 3 weeks. How am I feeling? Am I beginning to recover more? Am I feeling like a restoration of energy where I'm gonna be able to return to work soon? I'm hopeful. The volatility of these menopause symptoms has made me a little nervous about rushing to return and then have a big setback, because I don't think the hormones have really sorted themselves just yet. There's still probably some residual in my system, and each day that goes by post-op, it's less and less. And so the adventure is real, and the outcome is unclear of how much more fun is in front of me. But hopefully I'll continue to just face it with graciousness and and patience with myself, and I'm trying to be communicative with others around me, what's going on, so that they have fair and realistic expectations of how I might come across or respond. My poor husband. Anyways, he's been an absolute gem, taking care of me and insisting that I give myself time to recover. And my son is very on top of that as well, so obnoxiously, but in weird ways. Like, no, you can't drive. You have to let someone drive you. That was like the first week post-op. It was like, fine, I could drive until I needed something. And then he was like, hey, so could you go get that for me? No, I just had surgery. You go get it. Mom, I'm so tired. Ugh, of course you are. But so teenage boys, nothing new. Anyhow, so I just wanted to share the update. All good news and continuing to navigate it. But come back again and I'll tell you another story. Thanks.